2024. One more talk about the age of the earth and how the earth cannot be billions of years old in tonight's session on deserts. Deserts do not show billions of years of growth, okay? Anyway, glad you joined us. We're on a bunch of channels. Let's see. We think God ought to get the glory. We're on TikTok, Rumble, a whole bunch of channels on YouTube, and Odyssey, and a whole bunch like that. Let's see. Facebook. Join us. Go to drdino.com if you get lost. And the new TV channel, Kent Hovind, Creation Scientist. That's on what? How do they find that? Lightcast web app. Cross.tv. Okay. What's that? Row through? Roku. What is that?
They make the TV.
Oh, okay. Whatever they are. Does it taste good with barbecue sauce?
You tell me.
Okay, I don't know. Anyway, glad you joined us here. Come join us. We're at Genesis Baptist Church in Lenox, Alabama. Old-fashioned, independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist church where God gets the glory. Okay, tonight, deserts. We've been talking about different ways to prove the earth cannot be billions of years old. I know full well you evolutionists and atheists demand that there be billions of years. Time. Oh, here it is. Time is your pacifier. That can solve anything. How can an amoeba turn to a human? Well, give it enough time. If that doesn't work, add more time. That'll do it, yeah. You guys are certifiably insane. I'm just trying to remove the first pacifier of time. You can't have your billions of years. I'm sorry. You can't have your, what do they call the thing, a winky or whatever they, pacifier what?
It's a security blanket.
Security blanket, okay. There's lots of other reasons why your religion is stupid, evolution, but that's a big one, okay? So tonight, you can help us stay open, help our ministry stay open for free. Go join your 777 club. Go to drdino.com. Say, I like what you're doing. I want to help you keep going. If you can, give $1 a day. Support us. We've got, 25 people live here and eat here. It's horrendous. Our food bill, electric bill, everything else. So if you want to help, please do. No super chats on YouTube. I don't know why, but don't do it, right? Oh, we're not monetized. Okay. If you want to make any checks to our ministry, it's CSE, Creation Science Evangelism. You can contact, let's see, there's our Science Center in the background, our church on the right there, Genesis Baptist Church. It's an amazing place. God has used this place. We're straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles, in the itty-bitty town of Lenox, Alabama, right there, right off I-65. We're still looking for another Jeep. We got a 2007 Jeep. I love driving that thing. We took the doors off, roof off, drive it around Jurassic Park style. We have a 2018 Kawasaki Mule. We could do some swapping if you want that instead. The Jeeps have heaters is why we want those, okay? Yeah. So if you want to help us, please do. Okay, the Bible dates clearly add up to the earth being about 6,000 years old. Get your Bible, read Genesis chapter 5. It says Adam was 130 when Seth was born, and Seth was 105 when Enos was born. The dates are all given in Genesis chapter 5. And when you get to after the flood, right here's the flood. Oh, you look up Genesis 11, it gives a bunch more dates of how old they were. It's not hard to add them up and calculate, wow, the Bible teaches the earth is about 6,000 years old, and there was a big flood 4,400 years ago. And the God haters are always looking for any number above 6,000 just to make the Bible look bad. I understand. It's really important. Anything above 6,000. So let's look tonight real quickly at deserts. Alt-DV, get it started. Seminar part 1, the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert, I talked all day today. I might throw some, when I find my jawbone, they're going to think I was a woman. Okay. Going to be worn out more. Sahara Desert has what's called a prevailing wind pattern. The wind nearly always blows the same way, and I'll explain why, okay? Most parts of the world have a prevailing wind pattern. We have one here. Wind almost always comes from Mobile this way, from the southwest, okay? This process, this prevailing wind pattern, causes a process called desertification. The air blowing off the hot desert kills all the trees next door. And pretty soon, that area is desert, and the desert grows. The Sahara, the world's largest desert, is growing at the rate of 48 kilometers per year. Ooh, what's that, about 20 miles a year? Causing food insecurity and instability in Mali. The Sahara Desert has grown by as much as 18% during the last century, partially due to climate change. Let me translate that for you. We need more government regulation on what you do. Let's see. Over the last century, the Sahara has been expanding by more than 76,000 square kilometers every year. and it's 10% larger than it was in 1920. Here is Lake Chad right there. The blue is the water in 1972. Here's Lake Chad in 2007. It's drying up. That's in 35 years. Okay, this desertification is a serious thing. Mali, a country located in West Africa, straddles the Sahara. 68% of its area used to be desert or semi-desert. The Sahara growing at the rate of 48 kilometers per year in the area, exacerbating food insecurity and further feeding Mali's instability. Sahara Desert is growing. Here's what that means, live science. Why is the Sahara Desert growing, and how big is it expected to get? Why is the Sahara Desert growing? Geographical.co. You asked, can the Great Green Wall stop the Sahara from expanding? The Sahara Desert is expanding, Science Daily. Sahara is growing, thanks in part to climate change. I don't know anybody who argues with this. The Sahara Desert is growing, right? So if somebody disagrees, send your comments on why you think all these sites are wrong, okay? The largest desert is actually in Antarctica. Hardly ever rains or snows down there. Antarctica is the largest desert, 5.5 million square miles. I like that, American system. Arctic desert is second biggest. Sahara Desert is third, 3.5 million square miles of sand. The cats love it out there. The Great Australian Desert is fourth. Then we have the Arabian Desert, the Gobi Desert, the Kalahari Desert, the Patagonian Desert, South America. These are the major deserts of the world, and most of them are growing. Total land surface of the Earth is about 55 million square miles, of which 33% is desert, 24% is mountainous. So nearly a third of the land on Earth above sea level is desert. New study finds the world's largest desert, Sahara, has grown 10% since 1920. The hot air blows off the desert, kills the area next door. Pretty soon that's desert. They find the area is called the Sahel, where used to be life there. You see all the trees are dying, the animals are dying, no water, no food, fall over and croak. What was the Sahara Desert like 6,000 years ago? As little as 6,000 years ago, the vast Sahara Desert was covered in grassland that received plenty of rainfall. What happened? Paleoclimate archaeological evidence tells us 11 to 5,000 years ago, Earth's slow orbital wobble transformed today's Sahara Desert to a land covered with vegetation and lakes. Well, geographic. Why the Sahara Desert is growing? Creeping desertification by the Sahara, the world's largest warm weather desert. Let's see. Our analysis of long-term rainfall data reveals that the Sahara grew by roughly 10% since the study period started in 1920, with expansion being even more dramatic during the summer months, up to 16%, right? I agree with these guys. I think the numbers may be fudged a little bit, but 6,000 years ago, Sahara Desert was covered by grassland and received plenty of rainfall. Well, what happened? Did the Sahara Desert used to be green? Yeah, okay. Between 15 and 35,000 years ago, let's see, a number of occasions, Sahara has been green and pleasant. The last time was 15 to 5,000 years ago. Back then, the tropics received more radiation from the sun, and summer and winter rains reached into the heart of this now barren land. Wow. Well, Sahara Desert is right there. The part that's becoming desert, called the Sahel, it's creeping south. It can't creep into the ocean. It's going to be hard to turn that into desert. Okay. This is the desert. These are areas that are vulnerable to desertification. The red area is very likely to turn to desert because of the way things happen over there. There are dead trees in a desert. The whole forest died. See, part of this is because of the rain, the wind factors, because the Earth is spinning and it is round and it spins. Gee whiz. Okay, flat earther, don't comment. I don't want your comment. Okay. The Earth is spinning and it's round. That causes what's called the Coriolis effect. The air moving, the air swirls in certain patterns. Plus, hot air rises and cold air falls. So you got a pattern going this way and a pattern going this way. There it is right there. Low pressure air. Hot air is low pressure because it's expanding and it rises. Hot air rises. Okay. Hot air rises and cold air sinks. That causes part of the prevailing wind patterns on the Earth. Earth spins faster at the equator than it does at the pole. Ocean currents underneath are also causing part of this problem. Ocean currents are caused by the spin of the Earth. The tilt of the Earth ties in here. Earth is tilted over 23.5 degrees today as it spins and goes around the sun. That causes our seasons. That's another long story. Okay, let's see. The cloud cover will have a great influence on this. All this causes many places on Earth to have a prevailing wind pattern. This is a major cause of desertification. The oceans swirl. The Atlantic Ocean swirls from Spain and goes south. The ocean is swirling. I can do it backwards. You can see it here. Let's see. Ocean is swirling up toward, ends up coming up by Florida. So the ocean current is swirling. This also makes the wind swirl. There are ocean currents. It's a well-known phenomenon, and wind currents all over the place. And sailors have to know about this stuff. You don't want to sail into the wind. Pretty hard to do. It took a while after Columbus sailed across the Atlantic for sailors to learn, even though it was longer, it was faster to sail south and use the ocean and wind currents. It looks like it'd be quick to go from where he left in Portugal straight across to America. No, it's faster to go down this way, over that way, and up that way, because you get the wind and the water current with you. I mean, if your boat's only going 6 miles an hour and you got a 2-mile-an-hour current, that helps. 20% boost in your speed, 25%, plus the wind. Anyway, these factors all tie in and make the Sahara Desert grow. It's growing. In the past, it was the yellow, then it was the orange, and the possible future, the hash there. They say, according to Potsdam Institute in Germany, they said the Sahara Desert's about 4,000 years old. I would agree with that. 6,000 years ago, Sahara Desert was tropical. What happened? Well, desertification. A little 6,000 years ago, it was covered in grassland that received plenty of rainfall. I would disagree. It's more like 4,400 years ago, but we'll argue about the details later. Sahara Desert used to be green and lush, then humans showed up. Oh, that's it. Blame humans. This goes back to their overall big plan of reduce the population, kill off everybody, except us, of course. We get to stay. Sahara Desert is defined by undulating sand dunes, unforgiving sun, oppressive heat. But just 10,000 years ago, it was lush and verdant. Verdant means green, okay? So what spurred the shift from woodland to wasteland? Well, Sahara Desert growing or shrinking? It is growing. The world's largest hot desert is getting even bigger, currently 10% larger than it was a century ago. Sahara Desert is growing. Here's what that means. Earth.org. Deserts usually form in the subtropics due to airflow rising from the hotter equator and dropping down around the tropics. The scientists have observed the tropical latitudes are moving poleward at a speed of 30 miles per decade, and thus the deserts within are expanding. Analysis of rainfall data showed the now dry Sahara has been growing 10% more land since 1920 when they started keeping records. There we go. Lake Chad, we talked about that. Sahara Desert formed about 4,000 years ago. Now, I have a theory about this. About 6,000 years ago, God made everything. Perfect world. 4,400 years ago, there was a flood that destroyed the world. After the flood, the mountains lifted up, the water ran off, carved all kinds of canyons in the still soft mud. Then it slowly hardened into rock, and now the erosion rates slowed down. We talked about that before. But the continents now only take up 30% of the planet, and 70% is water. That has a great effect on the wind currents and how heat rises off of water or land. And the Earth is spinning, and the currents began to form after the flood, the air currents and the water currents. And different areas just got trapped in a bad spot where they didn't get the right rain or wind. So they turned to desert. And the deserts are slowly growing. And all this happened since Noah's flood 4,400 years ago. There's nothing on the planet that can't be explained with a recent creation 6,000 years ago and a flood 4,400 years ago. But the scoffers are ignorant of those two things. They won't admit God made it, and they won't admit it went through a flood. So I feel sorry for you. That's just one quick evidence of how the Earth cannot be billions of years old. The deserts would be much larger if they were. Okay, any questions or comments? I got to quit early. My throat's about on fire. Is it true that if I fly the star flag of Israel, it is an occult symbol? I've heard that. I don't know. I don't get into all that. You get into that?
It's the star of Bethlehem. Yeah.
Oh, it is an occult symbol?
It's very big.
Okay, yeah. I got other battles to fight besides that one. I can't. Those dates are wrong. The correct dates are in Septuagint. Oh, I disagree. Why many creation scientists still use the term like Jurassic and Devonian? I agree they should dump that altogether. There's no such thing as a Jurassic period. No such thing. I don't use those terms, I don't think. Not to give them any credit. Okay. Got more there?
It's a couple on TikTok.
How's the earth spinning when God said the earth is an immovable object? Well, this goes back to perspective. I've often asked people, if we're driving down the highway going 70 miles an hour, I'm in the front seat driving, and you're in the back seat trying to lay down, and you say, Brother Hovind, would you pass me back a Pepsi? I grab a Pepsi, I pass it back at 10 miles an hour to you in the back seat. Question. Did the Pepsi go forward or backward? Depends who's looking, right? As far as you and me, it went backwards, right? But as far as somebody out on the sidewalk watching, it went forward from 70. I slowed it down to 60, so it ended up in the back seat. But when it comes to the earth, there's nobody outside watching. We're all here. So it's perfectly correct to say, sun stands still for Joshua. And as far as, because everybody on earth is observing, it looks like the sun rises, the sun sets, the sun stood still in Joshua's day. It's not a contradiction at all. It's a matter of perspective of who's watching. There's nobody off the planet watching it. So it's correct to say, sun stood still in Joshua's day. I got to quit talking, brother. No more?
Oh, they're going to go on forever.
They go on. Give me a couple more here. I'll try to get more water on the throat.
This guy's asking how come the stars have never changed through history. Like they're in the same position, I guess.
I don't know that that's true, that the stars, I think they have. The North Pole, the pole star, I think we've seen a polar shift with the tilt of the Earth. The Earth seems to be wobbling a little bit as it spins. And the North Pole, I know the magnetic North Pole has moved quite a bit. It used to be up, I think it's still in Canada. I don't know where it is today. I don't care, actually. But they have to navigate by the magnetic North Pole. That's another whole story. So I don't know that your question is correct, okay? You think the apocalypse will begin after the solar eclipse, April 8th? I don't know how this eclipse ties in. It's easy to run off on that rabbit trail. And a lot of Christians have said, oh, wow, what was that last date? They had the big deal about the Lord's coming, and they have all kinds of, that was all for the last 25 years. People have set dates, and then they go stand on a hill and wait for the Lord to come, and he don't come. And they say, oh, I had it wrong. Here, I'll do another video and make another date. Send more money. I don't know. I don't do that. I have no idea. I wrote my book on what on earth is about to happen, what I think the future holds according to the Bible. I made my chart, did my video series, What on Earth, based on Daniel and Revelation. Get that for $100, 21 hours of teaching on that topic. I cover as carefully as I know how the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, what God said is going to happen. So people ask me, when's the Lord coming? I said, I don't know. If I had to guess, this is back 10 years ago, I said, if I had to guess, I would guess 2028. We'll see. If he doesn't come, I'm going to keep serving him anyway. Okay? You think the apocalypse started? Is that it? I didn't hear that.
No.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for a short Bible study tonight, but if we can help in any way, call 855-BIG-DINO. I'm extension 3. Be glad to help. And all right, if you want to come visit, get a cabin, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1 or 2. Who books cabins? 5, extension 5, okay? If you want to talk to Joseph, the tech guy, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 4. Be glad to help. Thank you so much. We'll see you Sunday.